I get a cut. I think I'm top 5. Top 5.
Top 5 side ones, track ones.
All right.
All right.
All right.
Welcome to Top 5.
God, good to be here.
I'm Ian Howe.
I'm Kenton McDonald.
And today we have...
Alex Carroccio.
Alex
Oh, wait,
Carroccio.
Would you like to try to say my last name?
No, I'm glad you did. I know how to say it. But
Try.
Carroccio.
That's better than I can do it.
I'm good.
I think that's how it's pronounced.
Well, thanks so much for coming tonight.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
You want to let us know what we're talking about?
Yeah, tonight I chose to talk about the top 5 favorite girl bands, female bands, women bands. The caveat is this is the top 5 non-cis men membered bands.
Fun topic.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is going to be a good one to get into because it's kind of like a overlooked area of music, I think. And there are some great bands over the years and some great bands currently that are definitely worth noting. So I'm excited to hear what you guys have to say.
Yeah, and I want to go full disclosure with this one. For the first time in Top 5 history, we asked our guest her list before showing up, just because of the nature of the topic. We thought it would be a good thing to just discuss at least 15 different artists instead of... I know Alex's taste, and it's great taste. It's great taste because it's similar to mine.
Thank you.
Exactly.
I knew that I would have several of the same bands as her.
I think it's a great move.
And I wanted to, open doors and maybe talk about some shit that people are less likely to know about.
Having similar tastes in music, I'm sure there's going to be of course, yeah, they're great. All the way across the board.
Sure.
Absolutely. I'm excited for it.
Me too.
With that said, Alex, do you want to start us off?
Sure. I can start us off.
Sweet. All right. What's your number 5?
My number 5 band is We've Got a Fuzzbox and We're Gonna Use It.
Fuck yeah.
Fuck yeah. They're a band from Birmingham, 85 to 90. You might know them as Fuzzbox, shortened, because after the UK releases, all the US releases were shortened to Fuzzbox. I'm super into them because it's super bouncy, fun. It's slightly political, slightly satire. The riffs are so catchy. They have so many bangers.
That's a band that I actually have never listened to, but have heard the name for, over a decade.
Yeah, they're fucking awesome. The original name, so the name was We've Got a Fuzzbox and We're Gonna Use It, name of the band. And then the name of the UK release for the record was
Boston Steve Austin.
Boston Steve Austin.
Yeah.
How did that happen?
Boston is another word for Brummie, which is like the dialect from Birmingham.
Oh, okay.
And I have no idea who Steve Austin is. I know the wrestler, but that's not who
I
they're
don't know
talking
the
about.
UK reference. I know that they chose the name the day of their first show. They'd been borrowed pedals for the first show. One of the members was like, "We've got a Fuzzbox and we're gonna use it."
Hell
and
there it is.
they weren't billed on the show
with 2
a
exclamation
name.
points, right?
That I don't know.
That's what
But
I've seen.
I love it. And I wish they'd have kept it the whole way. I know John Peel hated the name. He talked about that. And I don't think that had anything to do with the U.S.
No, it's
pressings
a
of the
label
records
thing,
being
right?
like, put out as Fuzzbox only. But they had so many good singles. They were banned for 5 years, and they put out a couple 7-inches. The first one, super punk, and then the LPs, super punk, a little pop, and then they went super pop, all in 5 years. And probably when I was a later teenager, I got those later 7-inches in records and was like, what is this? I don't want this. And I regret selling them to this day because now when I listen to Pink Sunshine, I want that in my record collection. I would spin it at every DJ night.
And yeah, the visual too is such an appeal. Like that, they just look amazing.
It's all
Like,
neon.
yeah.
It's all fuzzed out.
Big
They
hair.
fit the name.
Yeah, they look like Fuzzbox.
They look like love is a slug.
XXX.
Yeah. Rules and regulations. Fuck you, Margaret Thatcher.
Sweet. I have to check it out. You guys are
do.
making
You
like a
must.
really good pitch.
You must.
Based on your recommendations, I will check it out.
They were one that would have been on mine, but
Cool.
Yeah.
I think that's if we're gonna let me have my top 5 and so we can include so much more and talk about a lot of different stuff. I'd love to know if something was gonna be on your list.
I'll keep letting you know as they
Cool.
come up. Yeah. Moving on.
Moving on.
My number 5 is Fanny. It started in the late 60s. June and Gene Millington moved from the Philippines to California and started a heavy rock band. And they shred.
That sounds so sick.
Yeah. The drummer is especially amazing. Perfect 70s rock drumming. Every hit matters.
And sorry, when did you say this was? This is the late 80s?
Late 60s.
Late 60s. Okay.
Yeah.
Even cooler.
Even cooler.
They had a band called Wild Honey before they changed their name to Fanny.
I've never heard of it, so I'm very excited to learn about it.
Yeah, they didn't have any big hits until I think their 5th record after. The guitar player is like the one that gets the credit as being like a total shredder.
But imagine writing 5 records in the first place.
Yeah. that's-
Wow.
For
yeah.
sure.
Most, especially bands that start in the 60s, I guess not most, but I would think that a lot of bands that start that early would probably break up and reform, but it sounds like maybe they already got that out of their system.
Yeah. Yeah, and their biggest hits came later. Their biggest hit was a song called Butter Boy, written by the bass player about hooking up with David Bowie.
Woo.
It's got the lyric, he was hard as a rock and I was ready to roll.
Wow. Butter Boy.
And Bowie was a huge fan of them, had great things to say.
Lots of eyebrows were just raised.
Well, yeah, I'm always excited because Bowie tends to come up pretty
Every
regularly.
single episode.
Yeah.
Yeah. So this is great little tidbit of
And
information.
the name Fanny itself. Obsessed.
Yeah,
Yeah.
which I think was not supposed to be super sexual. They were very anti, like, they wouldn't wear dresses or, like, try to be sexy or pretty or anything. They
Yeah.
were like, we are good at our instruments and have great songs and we just play.
I'm really excited to listen to them.
Yeah. And they wrote all their own, they did covers, but they were writing all of their own shit.
In the 60s, that was like super common.
Yeah, that
So
was
it was, like,
standard.
all
Yeah.
covers.
But it's so often, especially at that time, even female identifying bands were like dominated by a man behind the
Behind the
scenes, and it was
scenes,
like a
or
gimmick,
putting them
and they were
together,
like, "That's not
definitely.
us. We don't want to fuck with that at all."
So cool.
And good on them for that.
Hell yeah.
That's my new favorite band. I haven't even heard them.
Fanny, they rock. Jeff Emmerich, he was the engineer for Sgt. Pepper's, Revolver, Abbey Road. He did their 3rd record, and then their 4th record was produced in 1973 by Todd Rundgren.
Rundgren.
Same year, he produced a New York Dolls record.
That's so sick. Why do you think that people like me don't know about this band?
There's so much music.
That's a good answer.
Yeah, for sure. It's always shocking to me when I hear something that I love that has been around forever and it somehow just didn't make it on my radar.
Gives me a reason to live, actually.
Totally. You know that there might be another good band out there when
Yeah.
you're convinced there might not be.
Yeah, I think a great starting point for them is a live video from when they were touring Europe, covering Ain't It Peculiar? It's just like, there's like them talking at the beginning, they just look like real normal people, and then just fucking wail. And again, the drummer is just like a monster.
Love it.
I'm enamored.
I love a
it.
monster drummer.
Yeah.
You said they're from, where did two of them move from?
The Philippines? Is that
Philippines. So the bass player and guitar player are from the Philippines, moved to Sacramento, but the band relocated to LA, and that's
Cool.
I think they're like a
Yeah,
LA
get
band.
out of Sacramento. If you live in Sacramento, get out.
No way, I'm coming. I went through Sacramento a couple years ago, and I did a complete 180.
Fell in love.
I think I'm going there.
I did have a really nice time there with Syndrome 81. We sat in the waterfront, played with the geese.
There's good
It's the
times to be
city
had
of trees.
everywhere,
They
but
have more trees than any other city
any other city, period.
Ever.
ever. Even the forest that you grew up in.
Well, all right.
I'm sorry.
Well, I'm going to take a segue here into my top 5 and start off by saying I don't really have a really particular order about this top 5. And when I originally came up with this idea, or when I was trying to come up with my list, the initial topic was broader into, female artists. And I was going to put on Meredith Brooks of Portland
Yes.
fame.
All right.
My
She's from
first,
Portland?
yeah.
Wow,
shit.
she's
I
actually
did not know that.
she's from Oregon City, actually.
Good.
She was in an
Cool.
all-girl band in Eugene in the late 70s called Sapphire.
That's a great band
How old
name.
was she when she got famous?
She was in her 30s.
Really?
Yeah, so 97 is
Never
when that
struck me as
first album
old.
came out.
Yeah.
But
Never stop trying.
yeah, and from what I've heard of Sapphire stuff, it's not like the greatest. But
I was in a band called Sapphire.
So when
You
I was
Yeah.
No, you
named
weren't.
after my I think it was 6th grade, named after my singer's birthstone.
That's
But
super.
we spelled it with an F. We had like
End the
printed,
episode.
Oh,
That is
wow.
the biggest drop you're gonna get.
printed T-shirts. We all wore to the talent show at
Do
school.
you still have one?
No, I bet it was like youth medium.
That's my size.
Oh, well, I'll try to.
dig it up.
I'll check out my parents' attic.
Yeah.
Well, anyways, I was revisiting a lot of stuff, and I hadn't revisited the Meredith Brooks record, or first album, in a long time. And she makes she drops Todd Rundgren's name in a song.
Whoa.
Was dropping a name. I had no idea who it was at the time when I was listening to it. When I was, I guess, 9 years old when that came out.
You don't know what people are saying.
But
when
coming
you're 9
back
years
to it
old.
right now, I was just like, holy shit, okay. Yeah, and also just the fact that she'd been playing music for such a long time, I also thought was like such a wild thing.
The tiny
I
little world
mean-
of music.
So with all that said, I decided to go all bands, all female.
And Sapphire did not make.
And
the
so
cut.
Sapphire did not make the cut.
Yeah.
Much love to Meredith Brooks, though.
Yeah.
So I'm going with friend of the pod, Blackwater Holy Light.
Hell
I
yeah.
Hell yeah.
have been listening to a lot of them over the last few months, and I haven't seen them since maybe even 2016, which I think is around when they first started. And I actually saw them one time after that. But listening to the records more and more, I think it's really cool because I was trying to think of another band that not only sounds like them, but because I couldn't name off the top of my head other bands that sound like them, but also the fact that they're all just like super talented and they're just making killer rock and roll. I just thought was cool. So I wanted to
Yes.
give them a shout out.
I love that.
I'm very excited for their new record too, that should be coming out later this year or in a
Did
couple
they
months.
record it during the pandemic?
Yeah, from what I understand, they did a little beforehand. So I think they're just waiting for pressing plants being backed up. So
Definitely.
it's in the works for sure. But yeah, so if you haven't yet, you should definitely check out Blackwater Holy Light.
You should.
Good band. I'm a fan.
I'm gonna do this.
There we go. That's the noise.
You have anything else to say?
No, let's get to number 4.
Okay, my number 4 is a band called Strawberry Switchblade.
Fuck yeah.
They're from Glasgow. I'm not Scottish, so I don't know how to say it.
I think it's Glasgow.
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 Don't drop it on the floor; it'll break. They were active 81 to 86. 2 ladies, Jill Bryson and Rose McDowell. Their first single, Trees and Flowers, was about Jill's agoraphobia, and it is so beautiful. But Rose went on to do most of the lyricism for the band, and it is some of the darkest, most poetic lyrics set to the most beautiful poppy music. It's amazing.
Yeah, that sounds like quite the duality.
It's such a duality. That record has stuck with me for decades.
Do they
now.
only have the one record?
They have the one record, but they have a lot of stuff that's come out since then.
Okay.
There's one song especially, but there's probably like 13 songs that are on that record that have come out since then. But there's one about stabbing you in the face with a cake knife. That's very good.
Okay.
All of the songs have this super pop sensibility to them. Simplicity, but it's not normal pop. Like, it's different. And I can hear those super reverbed out drum fills
Yeah.
over and over again in my mind. Like,
And do they do the music? Do you know?
they do.
Hell yeah. Cool. I never knew that.
Rose played drums in a band called The Poems in Scotland before that. And she never played drums in this band, but
Well, it's all electronic,
they were both
right?
musical, it's all electronic. They were really good friends with a band called Orange Juice, which is more in the psych realm, I think. But that was really big in Scotland then, and they actually got the name from them.
Like, we got to go fruit with this.
We have to go Fruit, but I mean, it's the perfect name for the band.
It really
It is
It's such
amazing.
a good name.
Like,
Yeah. And they're another one too. I hate to say it, but the visuals, it's just like they knew what to wear and how to look.
they knew what to wear and how to look.
Like,
And Rose has said, I would get yelled at on the street like, "You're trying to look like Strawberry Switchblade."
I am Strawberry Switchblade.
Yeah. I mean, it's so good. They were big for a moment and then had huge success in Japan, but stopped being a band they're a band for 5 years. That's a pretty fucking long time.
Sure.
But that was the whole full record. There's another album's worth of songs you can find on YouTube, though, that are just as good, if not more. There's one about wanting to be a cowboy riding into the sunset on your horse that is, you gotta listen.
All right.
It's just so Scottish.
I think it's got the word cowboy in it. Look it up. It's amazing. She wanted to be the female Leonard Cohen for her lyrics.
Rose?
Yeah.
That's a great goal. And I think.
Yeah.
Cool.
And she also said that she was a dark child. If you look online, you can see articles where she will reference how she set the walls on fire as a child. And then also in the studio when she didn't like a take, she set the reels on fire
She
with
had a
her
fucking
imagination.
temper. Oh, she's a witch.
Yeah. I mean, maybe.
She
Said she would never join witch cults. Like, she wouldn't fuck with Genesis Porridge because they asked her to be in their cult.
But when she set shit on fire, it was like with a lighter or with her eyes?
With her mental abilities.
Oh.
Wow. Like multi-talented.
I have the mental abilities to go to a store and buy a lighter. But I don't know. That's not that cool.
And she also now lives in the middle of nowhere because she was had moved to London and was chased out by stalkers, which I think comes with dabbling in the dark arts.
Yeah. Was it just based off of just fans? Her fans were just so into her.
Yeah.
Did she do any music after Strawberry Switchblade?
Absolutely. She did a lot of guest appearances, so many things. I didn't write it down because I trusted myself too much. But her voice is amazing, and she wanted to keep doing music after the band broke up, whereas Jill didn't want to.
That's definitely the better known name of the two.
It's because she's on so many things.
Yeah. Cool.
They're great. 10 James Orr Street is my favorite song on that record. I love that song.
Which is that the cowboy song or?
No, the cowboy song's not on the record.
Oh, okay.
You gotta go to YouTube for that one. Ian, what's your fourth?
Number 4, I got a band closely related to my number 1 pick because they share a member. And that member is Patty Quattro.
Ooh, sister
who
of
was
Susie.
only on the last Fanny record, but a founding member of the Pleasure Seekers.
Yes!
1964, Detroit. Susie Quattro is 14 years old. Patty is 16.
There's a couple other Quattros involved, aren't there?
There was one other at the beginning, and then another one joined later.
And one replaced Susie, or I think after she left.
Yeah, that sounds right. There's at least 4 Quattro sisters.
Yes.
But, I mean, so they only have the 2 singles, right? They got a total of 4 recorded songs.
No, they have more recorded songs. They have
But
a
they're
whole...
mostly covers.
Yeah, and well, yes. So Pleasure Seekers, I think, are super important, especially for, I don't think there were a lot at that time playing that aggressive style of rock and roll that were, like, all female
They
at
brought
the
the
time.
danger to the female circuit.
Yeah, and their song, What a Way to Die, is, like, so fucking good.
The best.
And
Which was a B-side.
Yeah, I was shocked to hear that record because I didn't get it till Norton Records reissued it in like 2008 or 7 or something like that. And I heard it and it kind of like knocked my socks off. I'm like, this is so rad. And then I heard the rest of their music and I'm like, oh God, it's so... It's a
Bad.
little disappointing that it's not bad.
But
just
if you can come up with that song, why can't you
I
give
know,
me more?
I was like, I get it. They're probably just trying to like cover their ground to break in. So they had like kind of some of everything. But yeah, if they had like 4 more songs that were as good as that one, like they would have been one of the best for sure.
I used to start every DJ set with What a Way to Die. And I know I'm not the only DJ. Probably 1 in 5 DJs in the world starts their set with What a Way to Die.
First time ever in my life, though, a couple weeks ago, I was riding my bicycle down Alberta, and I usually take back side streets, and I get to a stoplight, and I'm coming up on this car, and it's a sunny day, and a guy's got his windows rolled down, and he's blasting What a Way to Die out of his car. And I'm like,
Hell yeah.
damn, dude, it's really getting out there. Hell yeah.
Yeah. It only took 50 years.
That's all it takes anymore.
Yeah. I love that band. I love that song. But I think that, yeah, they were young girls in the 60s. Most bands were only doing covers. So they were playing the club every Friday, playing covers. There's not a lot of time to write songs while you're in school and learning cover songs.
And yeah, they were one of the very first all-female bands to be signed to a major label. I forgot to mention earlier, Fanny was the very first all-girl band to actually release an LP.
Oh, wow.
Wow. So cool.
On a major label.
And you said there was a Quattro sister involved with that band as well?
Yeah, not until like she replaced the
gotcha.
original guitar player. But yeah, another fun Italian name. The Quattro's grandfather's name when he moved from Italy, Quattrocci.
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 Meaning 4 eyes. But he got their grandfather
Because they
got.
had glasses or because they had actually 4 eyes?
I think they just had glasses.
I've heard that about Italians.
He got
They
sent over on a boat when he was
actually
16
4
years
eyes.
old. His mom was like, "Go get on a boat, go to America," and he
Go on, butter
never saw
boy.
her again. And he moved here, and then his son, who was the Quattro sisters' father, He was a musician. He would play the organ at the Detroit Red Wings and
Wow,
and
that's
How did he
Pist-
score
and
that
Pistons-
job?
And
That's such a cool
Pistons
job.
games. Yeah, he was that dude. And then he had a band, and Susie joined his band playing the bongos when she was 8 years old.
No kidding.
Wow.
That was her introduction to music. And
Just got her on the rhythm section forever.
I
yeah.
think only 8-year-olds should play the bongos.
it's a child's instrument.
I mean, if you're real good at it, go for it.
Yeah. Pleasure Seekers, they were playing with Velvet Underground and MC5, Alice Cooper, Paul
Yeah,
Revere and the
Detroit in the
Raiders,
60s.
Stooges.
What a place to be.
Yeah. Amboy Dukes, Crow from Minneapolis.
Crow.
And then she eventually Susie wanted to be in the front.
Yeah.
So band changed the name to Cradle. Some minor
Lineup changes.
exactly. Got the other Quattro sister in there somewhere. But eventually it wasn't enough, and Susie moved to England in 71 to start her solo career. 72 she toured with Thin Lizzy and Slade, and then 73 she put out her first solo record, and the rest is history. Like,
Rock star.
that's really
So
why
she
I
wa-
wanted
she
to
wa-
bring them up, because Susie Quattro's shit in the 70s is like
I'm
that-
so glad you put them on your top 5 because they deserve it.
and Susie Quattro especially.
Yeah.
Maybe just because that's the stuff I know the most, but she is something else, and she is
Yeah,
like,
as far as volume,
groundbreaking,
volume of work, like obviously the
she's
Susie
put out an
Quattro
album
stuff
in
is
2021. Like, she
Yeah.
never she's got
Yeah.
like 20 records. Like,
I had them in my later stuff, and I loved the little tidbit that they wanted to name their band, and they looked up in the dictionary the word hedonist,
hedonism. Yeah,
and pleasure seekers was what they found
right.
and went with. And I love the band name.
Wow, I didn't know that was the like a definition or from a thesaurus or whatever, but I always thought that was such a fucking badass name. Like,
Yeah.
Just want to have a good time.
I mean,
well,
the
you know, it's-
lyrics of that
yeah,
song.
totally. It's like the most debaucherous thing, and that was what was so radical about it too. It's because it's like, no, fuck that. We're gonna have fun too. We're doing all this shit. Like, I thought that was so cool, especially at a time where like so much of that was like really
Yeah.
suppressed.
They're all, woo!
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if there's like a bottle breaking and they're shaking them as like a sound clip. What a way to die.
Okay, last Pleasure Seekers thing. After their drummer quit, they drove to New York and brought back a drummer from a band called the Shakers. The guy's name, Jerry Nolan.
Ooh.
He played in the Pleasure Seekers. They were like, we're tired of trying to be an all female group. No one takes
Yeah.
us seriously or whatever. We're gonna get this guy, Jerry Nolan. That's Jerry Nolan of the Heartbreakers and New York Dolls. And
How
that's
did
sick.
he get back to New York
He walked.
after all these 13-year-olds stolen?
I think they were like 15 by then.
Yeah, they were way grown up by then.
they at least had their license.
That's awesome.
Reminds me of the Butthole Surfers
How so?
because they basically kidnapped the saxophone player from band practice on the football field and then took him on tour with them. It's an amazing story.
I'd like that. Just kidnap. Just all right. You're on tour now.
Yeah, he was willing to go, but he was like
Not expecting
15
it.
or 16. No, I think he expected it, but his parents probably didn't.
Well, sometimes when you're that
Art-
young, you need
art-
other people to
yeah.
make decisions for you, and it sounds like the rest of the band did.
What you got, number 4?
Yeah. So my number 4 pick, I'm gonna go with a band that I've loved since I was about 13 years old, I think, when I first heard them. But it was L7. I had this period that was kind of right when I was getting into punk, but other alternative stuff and not knowing, and it was still didn't have access to a lot of music, but I did have an older sister, and this was something that she had and I had access to. And so I'd heard like the first L7 record on Epitaph. I think it's just the self-title. And then as I went out, I discovered a couple other ones like Smell the Magic and Hungry for Stink and Bricks Are Heavy. And by this time, I think it was like, this is probably right around 99. And they had just come out with like Slap Happy. So their career was actually kind of like well past their prime as far as like commercially successful. But what I loved about them is that they looked like really wild.
Insane.
Yeah.
That's not, yeah.
I thought they were like the coolest looking bunch because of how like tattered their shit was, and like it just didn't seem like they gave a fuck at all. And I thought that was so badass. I have a hard time when I watch a documentary or something of a band that I really enjoy, and then I'm like, oh, this sucks. I can't believe they're like, you're not telling me any new information or anything. But the L7 documentary that came out a few years ago, Pretend We're Dead, I watched about a year ago, and I loved it. It was so cool to see this footage of them on tour, like fucking with people. Like there was this scene with them in their van, and they just like, oh, people come walking by, like, oh, keep going. And so they start shaking. It's like, and she's just yelling, shut up and fuck me, to like as people are walking by and like getting all disturbed. The band,
That's
the
like
band
what
was
it's like on tour.
yeah,
It's like,
totally. It's like they're just
these are
they're
humans.
pranking. And
Yeah.
but what I liked about them is that they didn't sound like other bands of the time that I'd heard. Like my sister was really into a lot of Riot Girl stuff, and I like some of it, but this was just like a little dirtier and heavier. And I also wasn't really into grunge, really. I mean, aside from Nirvana, which I actually didn't really come around to Nirvana until I was in my 20s. But this is like this kind of band that was like a little fish out of water, because they're kind of punk,
They bridged
but
a
they're
gap.
yeah, they're not really a metal band either, and they're not a grunge band. So it's like they're kind of standing on their own. And the fact that they came out of the they didn't come out of like the music scene, really. They came originally performing out of the art scene in LA when they started. So they were playing like art galleries and friend stuff.
I think a lot of all female bands actually did come out of playing in that same way.
Yeah.
I mean, not all of them, but
Some more than others, probably.
Yeah.
I just thought that was super fascinating.
I mean, I think all of us growing up going to house shows and art galleries and whatever space could fit people into it,
Totally.
like relate to it in a way.
And I think like 70s, 80s, 90s art and punk were a lot more closely aligned than maybe the last 20, 30 years.
Capitalism didn't have its claws into us quite yet.
Well, I think a lot of it has to do with accessibility now.
Yeah.
You know, it's like because of our connection with, you know, we don't really we don't have to go to an art show because we can see everyone post about it or pictures and stuff. You know what I mean? It's like it's
Sure.
it's same thing with like, you know, back in our parents' generation of going to see a movie because you never get to see it again. This is your only opportunity
Right.
to see it while it's in a theater.
That was
before
so
But
cool.
even art
Yeah.
school has a different connotation than it did. And I feel like in the 70s, I assumed that meant more like, oh, you're a creative person.
Yeah, let's do art instead of learning
Instead
how
of-
to sell yourself on social media.
Exactly.
Which is probably half your course
And how
catalog.
expensive is it? It's like it's
Yeah.
insane. It's
Yeah, art school used
times
to
have
be.
changed.
Yeah.
As a non-artist, let me tell you.
You're an artist.
Oh.
Yeah. Kenton,
Not
do
a
you think
solo
Ian's
artist.
an artist?
Well, not a solo artist yet, but, you know, I'm hoping one day he will be. But definitely an artist in other aspects.
All right, I'll draw you a picture. Say
Thank
thanks.
you.
Yeah, I'm just trying to think of what else I'd like to say about L7, aside from that I just respect the hell out of all of them and think that they have a lot of really great albums for being a band that started in the late 80s into the 90s, which is really
Dead zone, kind of.
yeah, and it's really just a decade like the late 80s to, late 90s is kind of something that I was cognitive for, but not the earlier part, obviously, but not the late 80s, but into the 90s, I just don't think I was ready to hear it, especially when I got older and was looking for music. I really didn't want to go back and revisit a lot of that stuff. It wasn't cool enough for me. I just wanted to listen to shit like the Misfits and Black Flag and
I've definitely been there. Yeah.
Yeah. And then coming back full circle to revisiting stuff like that. I'm like, this band fucking rules. This whole era of music, I'm starting to understand more because it's like this melting pot.
Now that it's vintage.
Well, I think now that I'm just old enough to understand that like musical taste changes in people, that's why like bands never, who put out a first great record always are criticized for putting out later releases, because it's like if you love it at first, eventually you learn how to play your instrument better and you start doing a different style or changing it up. And
That's
also
fine.
just, it's kind of like this living thing where it's all happening around you simultaneously, and there's so many influences that you're being, that you're trying to draw from, and ends up changing the sound. I wasn't ready for that sound when I first heard it, but now I'm really kind of appreciating it.
Hell yeah.
So I actually feel a little guilty about putting them on a, quote unquote, all-female band list, because that was their biggest complaint when getting popular in the 90s in interviews, because that's all people wanted to talk about to
Which
them.
is
It's
common in a lot of these bands' interviews.
Totally.
I think they would all be spiteful about it. Like, why is this the first time you're talking
well, yeah,
about
it's like,
me?
why
Just 'cause-
shouldn't, why should, it's like judge us on like our musical merit
yeah.
and like, not gender. And I totally get that. And like, I think it was like Warped Tour, like famous show that they played that I'm sure you've heard about, is that like they were like getting booed off and getting mud thrown at them, and I think it was Danita Sparks who pulled out her tampon and threw it at the crowd
Badass.
as like
it.
dude, fuck you want to throw shit at me, I'll throw shit at you, And
That's
it's just
so cool.
it's just something about that attitude I've just always like really respect the hell out of.
I would like to do that.
Give it a go.
Would you like to do that? Would you like to do that? Like, if someone was fucking with you that much?
I would wish that I had that fodder on me ready to go. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's the only time I would have. It's the first time I've ever wished I had a tampon.
Sure, and it's like to think about doing it is like something, but to like actually
No,
just
but to,
do
like,
it is
yeah.
like,
I love it.
yeah, they're a bunch of badasses, and
I'm going to listen to them.
you definitely should check them out. Start with Smell the Magic. That's where the magic starts, so to speak. So, cool. All right, Alex, you want to get into your number 3?
Yeah. My number 3 is Chin Chin from Switzerland.
Oh yeah.
Started in 82. I don't really know when they broke up. I don't really know that much about them, but I'm super obsessed with the songs. I think they're so good.
Yeah, that's right. I only have the 7-inch that I think Mississippi Records reissued.
Mississippi definitely did the
12-inch.
The 12-inch. That's how. Like, I
I
feel like
think-
that's how everyone became aware of them, right?
Yeah, I think
I
so
definitely
too.
never heard the name until I don't know what it was, 2012, something like that. But
Yeah, super
Yeah.
fortunate to have that record store in this town. Well, actually, a lot of record stores in this town. But I can't. Yeah,
They've done so much cool stuff. I think that the tapes they put out are really the gold with
I love those.
Mississippi
that's great.
Records.
Yeah,
I
There.
love those tapes.
You can't miss.
but yeah, like the Pleasure Seekers who we were talking about earlier. Like bought that single there because they always have like Norton Records stuff, and yeah,
Yeah, Chin Chin, Swiss band, accidentally all girls, and wrote these amazing songs. And you can tell what they're inspired by, which a lot of bands you can't tell what they're inspired by. But like they loved doo-wop and they loved rock and roll, and it comes across so
And
well.
the 60s girl groups.
Exactly.
Like, that you definitely hear
Yeah.
that with the vocal harmonies. And
They cover Lollipop.
And their name before Chin Chin was Sophisticated Boom Boom after the Shangri-La song.
That's my born name. I'm
You
just
were-
kidding.
Oh.
I actually got you with that.
I believed you for
You
I mean,
thought
I know
my
your
mother-
mom. I wouldn't put it past her.
I am named after ecstasy, but not in that way. No.
I know your dad too, yeah.
Mhm. Dark Days, so good.
Hell yeah.
Never Surrender, so good. Even if it's a lie, they get romantical a lot, but in this like kind of tongue-in-cheek way.
Have you seen the We Don't Want to Be Prisoners music video?
Yes, but I can't remember enough to talk about
It's so good. The drummer looks like she's like 12 or 13 years old and does this really funny thing where she like stands up and throws her drumsticks in the air, and then down fall these like 2 like 3-foot drumsticks, which is just
yes,
like
I do remember this.
completely out of place
my
with the whole
gosh.
video, but that one moment is just like
So good.
it's great.
They also ended up getting looped into like more English and German poppy punk music and doing well on those circuits.
Hell of a band, hell of a record. Sounds of Westway. It's
So good.
And they were just around. Sorry, what was their time frame again? Like,
They started in 82,
Okay.
but I don't really know when they ended
Ended.
because I think it's a little complicated.
Because I haven't seen the music video, but I think of music videos being like a late 80s, early 90s thing.
This wasn't like a
I know.
MTV thing. This was like
I
A
remember
home
the giant
project.
drumsticks when you said that.
Okay,
Yeah.
it's like really
it's a
DIY.
very, very low budget. Just like here's a visual to go along. You know, it's just like them like trying to escape a guy in a car who's chasing them. Or
That sounds scary.
That
but
does.
they look super cool, and every song I've heard of theirs.
Yeah,
is
they're
great.
always
It's-
supercharged. They
Yeah.
look like they could be in GBH.
and
But
meanwhile,
they're
they're just like
playing these songs about like, why is my boyfriend violent, and why?
yeah, that one makes me sad.
Oh, okay, I'm sorry. But they also had anthemic stuff
Yeah,
that
just
was
great
like
pop sensibility.
never surrender and about war and cool fucking stuff.
That's the other one that was gonna be on my top 5.
Okay, thanks for letting me know.
Yeah. Chin Chin fucking rules.
Yeah, I wish I had more tidbits about them, but
Yeah, there's not much out. And again, like
the interviews
I think
they've done are like, yeah, what? What do you want to know? There's nothing I can tell you.
Wow.
We just did what we did. We had no feminist stance. We had nothing to say other than what we said. We were young. We learned to play our instruments together, and
yeah,
it
I
had
think
the
they
path it had.
started like covering Motown songs.
Yeah, they do
Like-
Lollipop on that record,
Yeah.
which I think is better than the original because it's like kind
Another
of
great
live
top
and it has like the
5,
claps and the laughing in the background.
Hell of a band.
Hell of a
Such a
band.
band.
All right, Ian.
Number 3, another band from the art scene. Got the Raincoats.
Hell yeah,
London, 1977.
Are the raincoats that early?
so early.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I think like they got together right after they saw the Slits and were like, yeah, we can do this too.
Huh, okay.
And they could, and they did.
And they did it. And they did it so well. I have such a soft spot for that, like again, like very like pop sensibility, but just in a very archaic approach to it. You know, it's like it's not noisy, it's not aggressive, but it's just like let's take
I
these
can't find the
major
word either.
major chords and then make it sound like I don't know, some like basic human shit like that anyone could do, but they actually did
Yeah. And
it, you
anyone
know?
can like. And
Yeah. Well, I don't think anyone could like it. I feel like if I played the Raincoats for, you know, your average prick on the street, it's like this isn't music. This sucks.
well, if you
know?
played it for Kurt Cobain,
He loved the stuff.
he would wet his panties.
Yeah.
Take that out of the mix too.
No, I think it's good.
No. Yeah, I think he put that at like number 20, the first Raincoats record, like number 20.
What he said about it was like resonated with me. He was like, when I listen to this, it sounds like I'm upstairs listening to them practice and they don't know I'm there and I'm transported into their world and it's way better than my world I'm in. I'm definitely misquoting, but
No, I love it.
No, that's
that's
You
the
nailed
way
it.
I feel about what he said about them. And
Yeah.
I agree. Like, it's that twee sensibility they have. It's like, that's the world I want to live in.
Where this is pop music. Where
Where-
this is on the radio.
Or this is just like the world. And it's not this super dark, depressing grunge world I live in where he was living, or this pandemic world I'm living in now. I'm living in these people having fun writing these pop songs, and I can just stick my ear to the wall and be a part of it secretly.
a really cool way
I
of
like that,
thinking
yeah.
about listening to something. I think a lot of people listen to music but don't always hear it, you know? Like, I'm guilty of that a lot of the time.
Me
Like,
too, yeah.
I'll listen to something but I'm not hearing it at all. But there are occasions when I have a similar feeling where I'm listening to something on like a sonic level and I am transported into it. And it sounds like that. It's kind of the same idea that he was trying to convey,
Yeah.
which is really an interesting way to think about it.
They epitomize that like level of I don't even want to say ineptitude because it's like what they do is great, but it's very basic also.
Definitely.
Anything else on?
No.
Sweet.
Keep it simple. KISS.
Only other thing I got is the original drummer was Nick Turner, who was the drummer of the Lords of the New Church.
Oh, okay.
Not Hawkwind Nick Turner?
Not Hawkwind, different Nick Turner.
Hmm.
Also
How many Nick
also
Turners
English.
are in there? Well,
At least 2.
Love
And
it.
then Paul Mull from the Slits replaced him, and
not the spray that you put on a pan.
Palm, I think that's a soap, right?
But that's
well,
that's how
I've been soaping my potatoes.
that's what she
Oh,
was
no.
nicknamed after. Her real name is Paloma. She's Spanish, and moved to England.
I love the name Paloma.
It's a great name, and she's fucking cool. But she only played on the first record, and then parted ways.
Nice.
Raincoats. Woo.
Raincoats. Shout out to Santi. Became aware of the raincoats because he was wearing a pin. Love you, Santi.
Nice job raising awareness. I'm
Yes.
glad pins aren't obsolete or.
When they're 2 inches, you really take it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. A jumbo then.
Let's go, Kenton. What's your number 3?
This band I became aware of because of their band beforehand. Their band Mika Miko. Did you guys ever listen to them?
Mm-mm. I've heard of it.
I know the name.
I saw them down. It was one of the first shows I ever saw at Bottom of the Hill in San Francisco when I was, I don't know, 19 maybe. They were awesome. Super fun. 2 singers. But they're not the band I'm here to talk about. They are still great, but they're definitely more punk oriented. But the band that the 2 sisters from Mika Miko, Jennifer and Jessica, they started another band, I think in late 2010 or somewhere around there, and that was the band Bleached. And I think they're really cool, especially their first 3 singles that came out in 2011, and then their first LP that came out in 2013. It sounds like really, they're just a trio, but they play really good kind of fuzzy garage punk sounding stuff, but they're kind of on the more pop end of things. So as they've progressed, they've gotten more and more, I'm just going to say kind of more bubblegummy kind of, or over time. It's not as raw or as punk as it initially started or their prior band. So I don't listen to their most recent album, which I think just came out in 2019 or 2020.
Was Mika Miko also all femme?
That's what 100% what I remember. But
Okay. I'm just curious.
Yeah, but this band I like not more, but I just am in the mood to put it on more often.
Definitely.
It's less
Fine.
abrasive,
Yeah.
and I'm happy for them that they found some sort of success and are kind of transforming and kind of progressing, but they're kind of progressing into more of a mainstream sound of pop rock
Nothing
stuff.
wrong with that. That's fine.
Totally. I like the fact that they're sisters and have been playing music. Just a rad band. Specifically, their third single, the song "Electric Chair," is so good.
I can't wait to listen to it.
Yeah, and there will be a playlist, as per always, in the show notes that will have our favorite tracks from the said bands of the day. So,
Cool.
yeah, anyways, Bleached with a shout out to Mika Miko.
Twofer.
It's a twofer.
Bravo.
The twofer.
All right, Alex, what do you got?
I'm dyslexic, so this says my number 4, but that means my number 2. The Go-Go's. LA, 78 to 85. The first all-female band to top the Billboard chart that wrote and played their own music and instruments.
Huge band.
Huge band.
That Beauty and the Beat. Oh,
There's so many good moments with this band.
yeah.
Who was the lead singer, guitar
Belinda
player?
Carlisle was
She's the one from
the face, kind of, for the band.
Was she the one from Texas?
I don't know who was from Texas, but I
What?
know that she was in the Germs for a second.
Whoa.
What'd you do in the Germs?
She was singing as Dottie Danger in the Germs
Like
Before-
lead
one of their shows. She was only in for like a couple
vocals? Okay.
shows or practices, but
Okay.
I thought that was a nice little tidbit. I don't know who was from Texas though.
I listened to an interview a while back, and I can't remember who it was, but I found it really fascinating because she was talking about how growing up in Texas and getting into like punk and playing in these band beforehand and what she was listening to, because she wasn't into like overtly punk stuff, but she talked about how she really liked bands like ZZ Top and stuff like that.
Yes, ZZ Top. Love it.
Great band.
Great band. And I mean, the Go-Go's, these girls were young, but they did it themselves. Unlike, not to say anything bad about the Runaways, but like these girls met each other at shows and started a band and played these clubs over and over again and wrote so many songs on so much drugs. Like the way that me and my
Rock and
friends would have
rollers
done,
do.
would have, yeah. And they killed it. These songs are so good. It blows my mind. Like, I love them.
Do you have an album that you like more than another?
I love the first album, probably the best.
That's a classic for sure.
Do you guys have a favorite album?
That's definitely my favorite.
I think the first two are both
Vacation's
pretty.
got its moments, but
Yeah.
Beauty and the Beat is like
Yeah.
that's
We got
a
the beat,
fucking
this
record.
town, skid marks on my heart. You can't walk in your sleep. If you can't sleep, the beat on that, it's like, oh, I can't sleep. So I can't sleepwalk. Wow. You got it. I heard a rumor that His Hero Is Gone stole the opening chords of Automatic, and it's on their second album.
Well, now that it's on a podcast, I think we ought to refer to it as a trumor.
A trumor.
That shit's true.
Yeah. I haven't listened to a lot of His Hero Is Gone, so I've listened to a lot of the Go-Go's, but
Yeah, I mean, like earlier when you were saying we're getting older, well, we're not that old. We weren't listening to His Hero's Gone. No.
oh, snap. See, I'm young.
Yeah,
Snap.
still got it.
I don't really want to go down the rabbit hole of like all the crazy stuff about the Go-Go's. I think the latest documentary that came out
I still haven't seen that. Is
it's
it?
so good.
Oh, that's great to
And
hear.
they all sign off on it, and they all make amends at the end, and it's beautiful. Even though they weren't put together by some horrible producer and like torn apart and battling, they were people living with addiction and touring constantly who had problems like any normal person would, and grew apart, and watching them get back together and forgive each other and make amends was awesome. The documentary is really great.
That's cool.
You
What's
should
it
watch
called?
it. I don't remember what it's called. It's a Showtime documentary, I think.
Yeah, one of the streaming ones. I don't know if yeah, that sounds.
I had to do the 7-day trial. It was when I was in the hospital, and it was totally worth it.
Yeah, my first awareness of the band The Go-Go's, I think, goes back to they're like a band that like I knew, but because they were on the radio, because they were
Classic rock. Or
yeah,
something.
yeah, or
Yeah.
like they're like a popular band at the time. I was like, oh, I obviously won't care about that. But one of the members was on like the MTV reality show, like it's like a Big Brother Celebrity House,
World?
I can't wait to watch it.
and it's got Mini
have to
Me
tell me the
and
actual
Flavor
name.
Flav was on it, and that do you remember that there was a spinoff from that series, from that show, that reality show that became Flavor of Love, if you remember that
I
one?
watched that.
Okay,
definitely.
so that relationship started on this show,
Oh,
but
shit.
there's like Flavor trying to get up
Oh, it's
on
the tall lady.
yeah, the tall model. Yeah.
But one of them was on.
But
that
there was a
show.
go-go in the house with Flava.
I just want to say
Okay.
Vern Troyer is more than just Mini Me. but-
We weren't talking
Thank
about
you.
Mini Me.
No, I was. He was also one of the
Oh.
people in the house
Oh,
with the
sorry. I
go-go
was
and
talking about
Flava.
Flava.
No, you were
and
talking
the
about a tall
lady.
person.
There's Flava and a tall Scandinavian woman.
Yeah, that's not Vern Troyer.
Yeah, that's Mini
Yeah.
Me. Yeah, well, imagine that all in a house. And so that was my first awareness when I can't remember who it is now because it's been like over 10 years since that show was on. And I saw like an episode or two. And she was either telling
Vern.
Vern in the hot tub who she was and the band that she was in or something. I can't remember.
And
but
they're
she-
like, I don't know what you're talking about.
I mean, it was like watching a train wreck over and over and over again. And yet
I
in a
would
new
watch.
way. Yeah.
I would watch.
In fact, I think we're just going to change this whole podcast over to
This is a reality TV podcast now.
watch reality TV with us. Sorry, anyways, I didn't mean to go on that tangent because I don't even remember who was.
No, it's crazy.
the
I
house.
mean, that band was full of drama. One of them hid a heroin addiction for most of the career of the band.
That's sad.
It sucks, but she did it, and then she got clean eventually without breaking up the band, but almost died. In the documentary, there's a segment about them playing this festival in Brazil, and that's when shit gets crazy, crazy, crazy. So watch the documentary, get your mind blown. These are people that have real lives and like kids now and like careers beyond the Go-Go's, and have empathy for them. Like I've heard them talk about they were on a behind the music, like a VH1,
Mm-hmm.
and they were mortified because it's such a brutal way to talk about people.
Totally, and just being in the I mean, it's just hard to be young and
You're-
in the public eye.
And this is like after the fact even. So they're like trying to heal these wounds when this comes out, and it's like bashing them and bashing them.
Just
like,
trying to make entertainment.
trying
Yeah.
to make entertainment, which I'll buy, but I love the people that are brutalized in the public eye most of the time. I'm like,
Yes, totally.
what about their feelings? What about why are we picking on them? It's not good.
No, it's
not
a systemic problem, or it's a problem with the entertainment industry and the news industry.
Yeah, and I feel like I definitely used to have the opinion like, oh, you chose to be famous, fuck you, yeah, like you're not a real person, you're
Oh,
a
cool.
celebrity.
Did you listen to punk when you were 13 years old?
I must have.
Yeah. Sounds like the mentality.
And I still maintain a tiny bit of that, but on the other hand, people deserve to just play music and record records and get recognized for it without being scrutinized for every single thing they do and having people try to tear them apart for going to the grocery store in pajamas or whatever. Like,
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that the crazy thing about the music industry is that, you know, famous musicians and artists are put on the same scale or higher as some of the, you know, biggest movie stars, but they are not conditioned. They don't have an acting thing. They don't know how to change their personality to be someone
Right.
else, to talk, to, you know, save face.
especially the best of them. They just
Totally.
are who they are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and then that shit always gets blown out of proportion. So I always feel that, you know, specifically, I feel like musicians and artists have a harder time being able to defend themselves against stuff like that
Right.
happening to them.
I think especially female musicians, especially in
Absolutely.
the early days that were
Absolutely.
like, I don't know if y'all are the Runaways later on, but like, that's
Well, getting into my number 2.
okay. Let's go.
The
Come on,
Runaways.
let's
Yeah.
Love it.
Everything you were talking about, you know, being led by a fucking monster man.
Kim, you bitch. Rotten hell.
Please. Yeah.
How he stayed in the industry after the Runaways
Right up until
is
he
beyond
died.
me.
Yeah. Cherie recorded an
He got
album
to
with him
write a
in
book.
like 2014. And Jackie didn't like come out with her allegations until after he died.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's just
I mean, that's fine. It's not on her to do that.
exactly
But
right. And I think
lot of
that's
people-
a common thing, falling it, you know, having feelings for
It doesn't take
for an
away-
abuser.
it doesn't take away from their talent and the
Exactly.
records they made.
Exactly.
So good.
Everything good about them is because of them,
Absolutely.
not because
And
of
they
him.
were so young.
Yeah.
Teenagers.
Young.
15, 16, 17. Like, everyone in the band was under 18 when they recorded that first record.
That's the crazy thing about the Runaways to me, is that, like, because they're an older band and they were like a popular band, and also Joan Jett's later career.
Many people in the Runaways had later careers.
Lita
Speci-
Ford,
okay, but
Joan Jett's
specifically,
the big one. Yeah.
yeah. Just knowing that about them without knowing anything else, you know, I assume people are older than me. You know, like when I was young listening to music, or I'm like, oh, these, you know, they must have been like in their late 20s
Totally.
or
It's so
30s.
weird.
And then
Well, it's
Suddenly you
almost
find-
disconcerting.
yeah, it's like, oh my God, you're a teenager. Or like when you find out that like both like Tupac and Biggie, they're like 20,
Yeah, the Ramones were like 18.
young 20s. Yeah, it's like,
The
what's
Mob
happening?
were like 17 when they put out those amazing songs. Like,
It's crazy.
Nas was like 18, 19 when he did Illmatic.
well, that's why we should hand over the microphone to the youngerns.
This podcast is over.
Youngerns.
So next week, tune in for our new hosts. They will be 8-year-olds.
But yeah, fucking Runaways. I mean, they're the first band that comes to mind, you know, when I think of like
All girl.
exactly.
They're amazing though. Like
They
it's
really
not,
are.
It's not just about this guy hooking these girls up together
he
to
was
do it.
he was just a. I mean, he was a song.
He was a
He's
monster.
a songwriter. Definitely a monster. I don't want to say anything good about him.
Yeah.
He's a complete piece of shit.
So let's
Let's
start talking about the band. Sorry,
Yeah.
I keep
well,
bringing it up.
the only other thing I want to say about him is that the the biopic from the 2010 biopic, my biggest complaint about it is how it portrays him more like a psycho artist than like a fucking piece of shit.
Yeah.
They blew it on that. They really should have made him look like the monster that he is.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Rapist, scumbag, horrible person.
Yeah, I mean that's a common thing in biopics. You know, it's like even with the NWA biopic where it's like they totally gloss over the fact that Dr. Dre is like total like abused his girlfriends and numerous times is a total abuser, and that was never even addressed.
Yeah, that
They made
doesn't
him
make money.
they made him look like a good little boy who's coming up. It's like. Yeah, there are things that get glossed over in biopics, and that's sad. But aside from that, I actually really enjoyed that biopic of the Runaways.
I also got to say, Lita Ford was in The Runaways.
Yeah.
Was another breakout star.
Absolutely. Yeah. I certainly prefer Joan Jett's solo stuff, but
Yeah, definitely, me too.
She's a fucking shredder of a guitar player.
Or Joan Jett and the Blackhearts? Are you kidding? Like, ooh.
Amazing. Yeah.
Her voice might be one of the best in the game.
It's very authentic.
And let's not overlook the great job she did with the Germs, who we'll bring back into the picture on recording.
Right.
So Joan Jett, big for punk.
The Germs LP.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else with the Runaways? I mean,
They sound like people.
They sound like people playing music.
they sound like people playing music. I mean, the Runaways and the Go-Go's both saw huge fame in Japan.
I didn't know that about the Go-Go's.
Yeah.
But Go-Go's were huge here at
They were
the time
huge here, but their later stuff
Okay.
only landed in Japan.
Yeah. Whereas the Runaways were only huge there at the time.
And then
probably
it
more
gets
popular
into,
now than ever, right? Like.
Yeah. I mean, Cherry Bomb, how many Japanese bands covered Cherry Bomb?
How many movies is that song in? It's like, it's a hit.
It's a hit. It's not my favorite song by them, but it's a hit.
Not to get back to the motherfucker Kim Fowley. But
let's talk shit about him. That's fine.
He wouldn't even let Jackie Fox play bass on the first record. It was actually Nigel Harrison from Blondie who played on that record.
That's bullshit. He was an evil monster.
Yeah.
And
a bad motherfucker in the worst way.
He should not have died from colon cancer or whatever he died from.
He should have died by stabbing from his victims.
Yeah. Should we jump to Kenton's number 2?
I think it's a good idea.
Cool. Did you guys touch on how both of those bands ended with like with tragic that they were so young and ended up with like severe like addiction problems? Because that's one common thread between both of them.
Definitely. I mean, the Go-Go's have at least all admitted, because they were a little older than the Runaways, that addiction
started later too. Yeah, right. Their first album was in
78 is when they
just
started.
A couple years.
2 years later.
So they were probably the same age, because the Runaways were so young.
Right.
And the Go-Go's were young, but not
that like 14 young.
Yeah, they were like 18 young. Yeah, they were quitting the band not because they were all doing drugs all the time or somebody was hiding heroin addictions. They broke up the band because of royalties, actually. Like, I think the bass player was writing songs and being like, I want to sing this song, or why am I not credited on this song?
Fighting amongst themselves or with the label?
Both.
Okay.
Watch the documentary.
Yeah. I've heard an interview, but
watch the documentary. Definitely.
Yeah.
It's worth it. It's a really good movie, and I think they all come out on the other side of it, which is not normal for like a documentary about a crazy band. A lot of times they want you to watch everybody fall apart, and you watch them fall apart, but you see them all come back, and at least
it's a lot of footage from early 80s.
Definitely.
Cool.
Definitely worth watching.
Oh, yeah.
All right. So we're up to my number 2. Is that right?
We are.
All right. My number 2, Slant 6,
Woo!
Discord Records. Do you fuck with them?
Never heard him.
Had them on a mixtape. Loved it.
I hadn't listened to them in a long time, which was awesome because I really got to dig deep. They only had 2 albums. They're a really short-lived band. I think they started in I think that was 93 to 95.
2 albums is not.
It's a full
Nothing-
career.
actually,
full
nothing
career
you know
to
what?
me.
It's less than that. Well, they were 1 year apart. I think they were actually only together for 3 years. But they came out of a band prior to that, or the singer Christina and guitar player. She had another group that was around for 1 year that was also on Discord called Autoclave. You ever listen to them?
No.
They only have about a dozen songs, a couple EPs worth, or like a 10-inch EP. It's really good, but it's more math rock, whereas Slant 6 is a trio, and it's more punk. But I don't know, I really dig it. Both albums are really good.
I love your top 5 list so far. I can't wait to dig in.
Good. They are kind of unlike a lot of other bands for that time in the early 90s. And also, they're from Washington, D.C., and at one point, Bratmobile, at least Allison and Molly from Bratmobile, moved to D.C., and Christina actually played guitar in that
I loved
variation
Bratmobile
of
as a
Bratmobile.
teenager, definitely.
So yeah, the cassette tape Bratmobile DC has Christina playing on that from 1991, and that is also Jen Smith from there, who is also involved, is the one who coined the term Riot Girl, which then Molly from Bratmobile took and made a zine, and is what named the whole movement. But that all came out of DC, and that connection there I thought was really important for what followed, I guess. But this is another one of those 2-parters. So I'm sorry because I'm squeezing in a couple bands, because in the same breath it's kind of talk about Autoclave and Slant 6. They're both very good, and if you haven't heard them, definitely check both those bands out. But particularly Slant 6, because they have more music available to listen to. Because one album is not enough
It's not.
to get you through all the time. So, yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything
Slant
else.
6 have that "You Must Be a Monster" song.
Yeah,
That is a jam.
isn't it? Yeah, they're
Ooh,
great.
That's a jam. Put that on the playlist.
I mean, that's a good one, but maybe I'll put it on there. Maybe I'll put it on there.
Just put it on.
All right, I'll put it on.
It's so good.
Slant 6, number dos.
Numero dos.
So we're up to number 1. This is it. End of the line.
Oh,
Top of the
man.
pops.
Top of the pops. Well, my number 1 band is a little new wave of British heavy metal band.
Oh, I think I might
Started
know.
in 1978.
Hell of a band.
Who could it be? It's Girl School. What a band. The longest running all-femme rock band ever. It's been over 40 years.
I think it was 40 years a couple years ago, right?
That's why it's over 40
Oh, yeah.
years.
That's math. Yeah.
Hey, math. I love it. They're from London.
They're the shit.
They're the shit.
Yeah, they've had a few variation lineup changes over the years, but they
Definitely, but they've kind
But
of
who hasn't?
resorted back to the main members, except for R.I.P. Kelly. I learned this when I was looking up some more information about them. They used her ashes in a maraca
Whoa.
as an instrumentation on a record in 2007 on the album Legacy.
Whoa.
Wow, that's really
Isn't that
cool.
Her
So
parents were down
cool.
with that? I bet it sounded awesome.
I mean,
That's
I
just
don't
like
know if they asked the parents.
well, I think just the idea, I mean, that's such a
I
sweet
get it.
sentiment.
I get it.
An album called Legacy, and then that being
Ian,
a
would
thing.
you like me to play your ashes on a record?
Please.
Kenton, would you like me to play your ashes on a record?
Play my kid's ashes.
Yeah, before mine. I would be honored to
Right?
to
Like-
live on in some form, and
I'd
That's
never
the
heard
form.
of anybody
in a
putting
fucking
it in a
maraca.
maraca
Yeah.
and shaking it as a percussion. That's so cool. Anyway, I hope anyone would watch Breakfast with Girl School on YouTube. It's the coolest, miniature, weirdest documentary ever. But I also need to mention that the beginning of the first two albums, Demolition and Hit and Run, the beginning of those two albums are both the coolest intros to records ever. I'm obsessed. I cannot get enough of that. If I was a happier person, I would put that on every morning when I got up. It's so good.
well, you got to try it and let us know how it goes, because maybe if you put it on every morning, you would be a happier
I
person.
would not be depressed if I listened to Girl School every morning. I mean, honestly, I need to tell my therapist that. Stop telling me to do journals.
It's not working. I know
Stop
what
with
I
these
need.
drugs.
It's not
I need
working.
girl school.
No drugs. I need Girl School every morning. So good. The drums starting on Hit and Run, the drum sound, immaculate. It's so,
That's my record of theirs.
so loud.
That's that's one of your top
Hit and
5
Run
heavy metal.
is
It's a banger.
so good. I love it so much. They were all in a band before that called Painted Lady, where they did mostly covers. And then one of them also went on to be in the Go-Go's.
Really.
I like that name. Did Painted Ladies have anything that they released?
I don't know.
That name's pretty provocative. It's a little more
I was
provocative.
75, so
Uh-huh.
I'm sure many people have used that name also.
It'd be a shame if someone didn't.
And they obviously went on to go on Motorhead's first full UK tour as the supporting band. Then to go on to record with Motorhead the St. Valentine's Massacre 7-inch
Great EP.
EP. So good. Which the drummer of Girl School played drums on the entire album. Filthy was...
Too drunk?
No, he had like a neck injury or something.
Classic Phil.
But such a good drummer, they don't need Phil. I love that band so much. It gives me goosebumps how much they're so good. I also love they've said in interviews they're too heavy to be new wave and too punk to be heavy metal, which is like
Pretty accurate, yeah.
It's accurate, and it's how I feel about everything I like.
Don't fucking label me.
Yeah, don't label me. I don't fit right in. I like that sweet spot into I'm punk, I'm metal, I'm new wave, I'm whatever.
Yeah, that's the cool thing about, this particular style of music, is that there's so much that grows between, the cracks of all of these different genres,
I also remember them saying, yeah, the guys like us, the metalheads like us because they're too busy headbanging to notice that we're chicks. And they also are one band that was like, we never tried to be a girl band, but they never used that as a
gimmick
part
or
of
whatever.
their, definitely not a gimmick. As far as new wave of British heavy metal goes, definitely weren't a lot of femme people involved.
Totally. It's
Even-
definitely, even now, it's I feel
Very
like metal and
male-dominated.
yeah.
Absolutely.
I feel like every single band we've mentioned tonight has not been as a gimmick. It's all just been
Totally.
women who want to play music. And
Yeah.
And
Fuck
do a
yes.
fucking awesome job at it, too. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just...
And it's not, I want to say it's not on purpose. I've been in all girl bands or all femme bands, and I've been in bands with only dudes or cis men, and it's something that now I've decided to make a choice to be in a band with no men.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not because I don't like playing music with men. It's a different atmosphere. It's different. Nothing against men. It's not a attack against anybody. It's just
I can only imagine, based on how different it feels being in a band with a woman or two women in the room versus all men.
No,
It just
yeah.
it changes the atmosphere and
Absolutely.
definitely for the better.
We're trying to be cute and sweet to all genders, but chicks are better than dudes.
What's up with a lot of, I mean, I guess there's no rhyme or reason to it, but have you ever noticed how many bands there are that just have one dude playing the drums in the back just tucked away? There seems to be, when I was trying to think of bands, I was like, no,
Hole or
no, hold on.
they got two men?
No,
Hole
there's
doesn't
definitely
no, they were all women in the beginning.
Oh, really?
there's
Yeah.
definitely a lot of bands that have a dude behind the kit.
I would guess it's like the same thing. There's more male football players. You know, it's just like people are raised in an environment like this is an acceptable thing for you to do.
I agree with Ian. I think drumming for femme people is harder to get into. I think even if somebody's a really good drummer, they're a good female drummer.
Yeah, but then you're in a band with just straight up top 5 drummers in Portland.
Oh,
Mary is the shit.
my
Oh, yeah,
femme
Mary's
drummer
great.
is the best drummer. But I probably would have tried to play drums more if people hadn't talked shit about your boobs get in the way or girls don't have upper arm strength. I can play most instruments and I can play drums for a little while, but I've never built up my stamina or tried to hone my craft because it's not encouraged. And I don't think that's trying to make it a barrier for me, but it's a built-in, this is a man thing to beat on the drums.
I obviously don't know, but
Yeah.
I would also assume that like that barrier to entry that you feel about that, I'm sure how a lot of, females feel about music in general or playing an instrument in general,
Absolutely.
just because it is such a male dominated industry and, scenes too.
If I can say anything about that is that I got like a Squire bass for Christmas when I was like 13, and I didn't realize you had to hold down to make a note at all. Like I had no conception of how to do music. I just knew I wanted to do music. So just do it. No matter how bad you are at it, listen to the music you like, try, practice, and you can play any instrument you want to play.
And it helps too if you're into punk and stuff like that, because you can make good music that isn't super technical.
Yeah, I mean, technical music kind of sucks. So
At times, absolutely.
It's been done.
Yeah.
There's no need to
I'm
go
not trying
any
to
further
be
with it.
Santiori or Primus or whatever.
Van Halen.
Van Halen.
They already
the
did Van
Moody
Halen.
Blues.
Well, speaking of basic ass fucking music,
Number 1 from Ian Howe.
my
Let's
number
go.
1, a band I've been so excited, like, I'm so excited to talk about.
I am excited.
You're giddy. Oh my
Let's go.
gosh.
He's
The
blushing.
Shags from New Hampshire.
You're number 1. The
Never.
My
Shags.
number 1.
Never heard it.
You've never heard the Shags.
Hey, don't feel bad. I never heard it.
They
until
are
recently.
one of a kind.
I'm so excited.
You're in for a treat.
Yes.
You're in
Yes.
for something. I don't know.
I'm jumping
Why-
up and down in my seat.
You got to tell us, what's the deal with the Shags?
Okay, so their dad, these might be women who actually didn't want to play music and just ended up having to. But
That's fine.
their dad's mother, so their grandmother, got a palm reading that was like, all right, dude, you're going to marry a strawberry blonde woman, you're going to have a couple of kids, and they're going to have a popular band.
That's so sick.
And after he married the strawberry blonde woman and she died, he was like, all right, time for this band to get popular.
Oh my God, they're like, mom's dead. And now we're forced
And
to
so
be in a
he
band.
just went straight up fucking Joe Jackson on their ass and was like, all right, you're the next Jackson 5. I'm pulling you out of school. I'm buying you instruments. You're getting lessons. You are going to be the greatest band in American history.
And now they've made it all the way to Ian House, #1 spot on Top 5 radio.
They've done it.
This
They've
album,
finally done it.
This album is fucking amazing.
There's a whole album?
A whole Philosophy of the World. Full record.
That's a great album name.
Yeah. And it's the
Can you hum a
first song
few
on the
bars for
record.
me?
Oh,
You could sing probably a couple songs.
It's like you just gotta listen to it.
It really is something
so
else.
into
When
this.
I
My
heard
pal Foot, who are parents.
Foot, my pal
It's a
Foot.
song about their cat. Yeah.
Oh, the cat's
I
name
mean,
is
like,
Foot.
so they're young, but they seem like they might be like
Ooh, that reminds
mentally
me
like
of
5
Inflatable
years
Boy
younger
Clams.
than they really are.
Ooh.
or they just got into the studio way too soon. It feels
Yeah.
It feels like when you're listening to like it's almost a similar feeling that I get when I listen to like a Daniel Johnson or something like
Yes.
that. It's
Yes.
it's almost like outsider music.
Have you
It's
guys heard
absolutely outsider music.
Inflatable Boy Clams?
No.
Oh, yeah.
Is that an honorable mention?
It is now. But it's like 12-year-olds from San Francisco, and it's immaculate.
Sweet.
Yeah.
The other half of their 7-inch is the same song played backwards.
Fuck yeah.
What I'm starting to realize here is that it turns out the younger you are,
The
The
better.
better the
it
music is, yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Hand,
Lester
drop the mic. Let
Lester
the kids.
Bangs famously said that the Shags are better than the Beatles.
Evan would be pissed.
I'm sure a lot
He
of people
also loves the Shags. That was a big thing on Bymark's tour. Me and
Can
Evan
he choose
used
one?
to put on the Shags, and Eric and Calvin were just like, turn this shit off.
Oh, I
We're
thought-
like, no, we're turning
Turn
it
it
up.
I thought you were gonna say that on tour it was something that you do. You'd put on a Shaggy song and then a Beatles song and try to figure out who was better.
No, Frank Zappa also
Yeah, Zappa had
reiterated
good
that
taste.
sentiment. Said it was better than the Beatles. You know, quoting Lester Bangs, but on Dr. Demento in the early 70s, and that was like the first time they got popular. So the guy who pressed the record, he said he did 1,000 of them. He really only did 100.
Oh, no.
And then like disappeared with the other 900 or something. So it's like super fucking
I thought you
rare.
were going to say he did 10,000.
No,
And he's
no.
been putting them on eBay.
No, we're talking about
Just-
Fremont, New Hampshire, 1968.
So they're from New Hampshire.
They're from New Hampshire.
No
I
one,
didn't even
no
realize
one's
that it was
actually from New Hampshire.
68. Really?
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Yeah. The record was 69 maybe, but they started in 68.
Okay, well, it's funny that his dad wanted to make him like the Jackson 5 because I always thought of the Jackson 5 as like a 70s band.
It probably started in the 60s.
I mean, that's what I'm putting together in my head here.
I'm not going
Yeah.
to look it up on my phone.
And
but
I think
guess that
the
started
big
in the 60s.
comparison is like, I'm a disciplinary asshole father who's making my kids do shit that they don't really want to
Yeah.
do.
Sure, it's like the family band.
So
It's
were
what-
they allowed to go back to school after they recorded the album?
So the band
Bill
disbanded.
locked him in the basement.
They broke up in 1975 when their dad died.
Oh
wow,
my
this
god.
is dark.
Yeah.
Where are they
Even
now?
though they only had the one, they only had the one record.
I need it
and they were
behind the
still,
music.
like,
Where
like-
is the documentary on this band?
Yeah.
Exactly.
I want an actual documentary.
Well,
Ian?
No, you're the filmmaker.
I'm not a filmmaker. What
Sure
are
you are.
talking
Listen-
You're
about?
talking more about movies than me.
Guys, if we can make this killer
talked about
podcast,
Warren.
we can
Yeah, I
definitely
talked
make
about
a
too.
documentary about
Okay,
this band.
Hands
so.
in the middle.
Here we
Shag's
go.
documentary.
Here we go, Jags. Bam.
Fuck yeah.
So
Let's
we
call
just
it
we just made a pact here. If you give us money to our Patreon,
We're
if
gonna
we
make
get
this
enough money, we'll
documentary.
make this documentary.
Yeah, and we'll call it Better Than the Beatles. Actually, I think that's the name of like a.
If you
collection of
donate
theirs.
$10,000, we'll
could call it
call it
Philosophy of
your
the World.
name.
Yeah, well, you'll get a producing credit if you give us
Philosophy of the
$10,000.
world?
Philosophy of the World.
No,
All
12-year-old
the
came up
fat
with that
people
shit.
want what the skinny people got.
that's David
and
Bowie
the
lyrics.
poor people want what the rich people got. What?
No, I wish
No,
they
that's
David.
Shag's lyrics.
All the
dude.
fat skinny
This is-
people.
But Bowie was super influenced by him because this is 68, the same year his first album came out. So he was a
Exactly.
All
big
the fat
fan.
skinny people.
Yeah.
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 Exactly.
I bet
Who
he
was
listened to the
first?
Shags.
I mean, he had a lot of really cool records. I mean, he had a test pressing of the Velvet Underground
He loved
before
Fanny.
anyone here
I
knew.
loved your David Bowie episode, by the way. It's
Oh,
very good.
thanks. So did we. You could tell we were having a good time on that one.
Andy Place, what up?
Hi, Andy.
I miss you, Andy.
You're always early for work, and I appreciate it.
Hell
At
yeah.
Blackwater.
Dude, such a good man. Yeah, well, sorry, let's not get onto Bowie, but Shags, man.
Anything
Yeah.
else?
No, I just never thought I would get a chance to bring them up.
I'm so glad
And
that
here
you got
it is.
to.
It's special music. There's nothing that sounds like it.
I'm so excited to listen.
You're gonna have fun. You know what? We're gonna throw them on the playlist.
I think we should.
Kenton, you're number 1.
All right, this is it, the final moment. My number 1 was a band from Olympia, Washington.
Yes.
And this band,
Sorry.
Stiff Love.
Love
Oh
it.
fuck yeah!
Love it.
My friend Dahlia was in that band, and she passed away in October of 2019. And
It's okay.
I think they're an awesome band. I wish there was more out there. They just have a tape, and they have a single on Feel It Records and another EP, 7-inch EP on, I think it's Chop Your Head Off or Head Chop Records. Anyways, I think both of them are still available, but they are fucking awesome.
The tape
Talk
is
about
so fucking good.
you have the tape. Excellent.
Live.
Amazing.
Amazing.
That's right. They played at Blackwater. I did not get to see them because I was out of
Quit
town.
your job.
I
Oh, wait,
saw them at
sorry.
Esta Noche as well, and I've seen them in Olympia.
Yeah.
Nice.
They're
Yeah,
I think
So
one of the
good
most
live.
exciting
Yeah.
bands in the last 5 years. in
they're
the
so
Northwest.
fucking
Definitely.
cool, and also like they look like they're having the most fun all the time. Like
That's
just
what's up.
yeah. I don't know the rest of the women in that band, but like I met Dahlia when I was I think 18, and I hadn't seen her in a long time, and she's kind of lived all over. She's from the Bay Area originally, and then was
That's
living
where
out
I
in
met
Boston.
her. Yeah.
Yeah, and then she had a stint in Total Abuse for a while, and they stayed over at the Punk's house when they were on tour years ago and stuff. But yeah, she's just amazing, and I with her passing away, she is a person that I think about very often, and seemingly for no reason, especially because I hadn't seen her in so long, and having this opportunity to just talk about bands, I felt like this is like a really good way to showcase an awesome band that's probably not heard by a lot of people, or as many people as, obviously not as big as the Runaways or the Go-Go's, but they fucking kill it. It's great punk rock, emphasis on the rock. Very,
Riffs.
very well done.
Which,
Great
yeah.
riffs.
Yeah.
Which Olympia has killed lately. With
No
the
kidding.
rock
Yeah.
riffs.
Feel
Yeah,
like
we'll get into Olympia a little more, probably in the honorable mentions, but
Yeah, there's a lot going on there. But yeah, Stiff Love. There's definitely gonna be a song on the soundtrack here to this episode. But yeah, check them out. They're great. Dahlia, thinking about you. But yeah, that's that.
definitely.
You
Nah.
guys have some honorable mentions, or what do you guys think?
I definitely do. It was really hard to keep my list of 5. And you guys had 10 awesome bands. But I still definitely have some bands to talk about.
Well, lay it on us. We got to hear it.
Kleenex Lilliput.
Oh yeah.
Nice.
Are you kidding?
What are they?
They're
Swedenborg?
Zurich, yeah.
Zurich. Okay. Yeah.
78 to 83. Amazing.
Really good. Yeah, I'm with you on that.
Super, when we were talking about art bands, super and born out of the art scene. Amazing band. And so much material. So many good songs. The whistle track on Hitchhiker. Love it.
Is that the band that became Malaria? Is that
No, Malaria is different. And Malaria is, I don't know. I think Malaria is German. But
okay?
sometimes the border is weird there. Maybe they moved to Germany. but I think Malaria is great, and it's definitely worth mentioning.
Nice.
Exclamation point.
Yeah. Keep going. What you got?
The Shangri-Las.
Great.
Yeah. I mean, if we're going girl groups, that's its whole own.
They were so freaking young.
And that's just
And they're from Queens, and they took the whole girl group thing and like spit it out like razor blade bubblegum. Like they were tough as fuck.
and that's music that I could just listen to anytime, any place, and just
So good.
be happier. It's
And they got in trouble with the FBI
for what?
smuggling guns.
No shit.
Yeah. I didn't look too deep into the wormhole of
I love this idea though that they're running guns.
yeah, that would be cool. The Shangri-Las at 16 running guns all over the globe.
I didn't realize they were that young. You know how like just older or stuff from the, I guess from the 60s and even early 70s on, it seems like pictures of people, they just look like adults.
Yeah. It's
Yeah,
like the same way
definitely.
you look at like your parents' yearbook photos, and it's like, no, that's my mom. She's like
40
mom age.
forever.
Yeah.
I have a completely different view because I'm like, oh fuck, dude, it's like the cool parents photographs where you're like, oh damn, you used to be young and kind of like hip. What the fuck, you know?
Right.
When'd you become a mom?
Right?
When'd you
Yeah.
become a dad? What's your problem?
Why'd you do it?
Other honorable mentions?
Yeah, I have a couple. Gloss from Olympia
Really, yeah, big fan of them.
hit so hard. Those EPs are
Yeah.
so good. All self-released.
Came
They
out of
turned
nowhere.
down a giant record contract
Was the Epitaph?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was.
and then quit as a band for whatever reasons they had, personal reasons, but in some small way that made me be like, yeah, I can do what I want with my music, and I thank them for that. I might
Hell
not
of a
have
band.
put it into practice much in my life, but I appreciate.
Gotta be tempting to take the money and just have money.
That's
It's
sweet,
not
sweet
enough
Epitaph
money.
money.
Oh, give me that money.
It was like $50,000, and that includes recording a
Split
record,
5 ways.
split 5
Yeah.
ways.
Recording a
That's
record,
nothing.
$300, bam. Then split the rest. Get the 4-track out already.
$10K a piece.
That's cash. That's some serious cash.
It's not worth it.
Oh, right. Not worth it.
No, but like they still are releasing their records, even though they're not a band
Yeah.
anymore, and donate to the causes that they care about.
Yeah,
and I
it's a
think
great way to
that's
do it.
super amazing. I love that so much. Other bands I have on here, another new wave of British heavy metal band is Oral.
Never heard
Oral
of-
had a 7-inch called Oral Sex.
I've heard
Hit
of that.
song was called Head, and it's so good. That's the only thing. It's super mysterious. There's not a lot going on. You can't find out information about them. If you are brave, Google Oral
Sex.
Head, Oral Sex Head band. You'll find it. It's so catchy. It's so good. I also want to hit up some Portland bands, Neo Boys, All Hits,
They're on.
Mr. Wrong.
Yeah.
And then there's a lot of other current bands I think deserve a lot of credit. Dame, La Misma, Racta, Hysterics aren't current, but another Olympia band.
Mm-hmm.
All Hits is full-length album that came out maybe, I don't know what time is anymore, maybe 2 years now.
Iron Lung, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
And the little backwards and forwards dance they do on that music video.
I haven't seen the video.
Oh, you gotta watch.
Awesome.
Shame to
It's
say,
so
I
good.
don't think I've heard them.
You're gonna
it-
love it.
Like,
Sweet.
almost reminds me of like the proletariat or something. It's like
Oh, that's a really good way to put it.
that like approach to hardcore. I wouldn't even call it hardcore at all, but like that scene. But really, really cool band.
I love it. You have some, Ian?
Yeah. Only one I got that you already mentioned was Neo Boys.
Yeah. Rich Man's Dream.
Portland.
What a song.
Yeah. The Donnas.
Yes.
Love the Donnas.
Never
Do you?
listened, but I would probably be really into them. I was tempted to put Josie and the Pussycats. It is my number one spot.
They're a band.
They are a band, and if anyone wants to cover Josie and the Pussycats with me on Halloween, please email me at blackwatervenue@gmail.com. I obviously will be Josie playing the guitar.
Nice.
Another one that I definitely have to mention is Aka from Japan. Definitely like the most brutally loud and intense all femme band I've ever seen.
Hell yeah.
They're something special. They were remarkable. I don't think they're still playing. But Aka, I think they only ever put out a demo tape. A couple other great Japanese bands, 5, 6, 7, 8, and
Yes.
Shonen Knife. Very, very different styles, but also awesome bands. And then just this week at Blackwater Records, Alex, I picked up a record called Singapore Nuggets, The Ladies. I can't confirm that it's all women on the recordings, but it's been on my turntable since I got it, and I've listened to it like 3 times.
I work there,
it's
and I
amazing.
don't know what you're talking about, and
Keith
I
was like,
want it.
yeah. Well,
Give it back. Sell
no,
it back
Keith
to
look at
the
another
store.
one. Hell of a record. Really, really cool stuff. Malaysian, like, psychedelic rock that
I love that
at
Malaysian
least female
sound, man.
fronted. I don't know.
Love
I don't
it.
know if it's all femme, but I've been very excited about it this week.
So cool. You got anything?
No, most of mine were all artists.
I have so many more. So I'll just rattle them off at the end, and you can like
Go for it.
cut it out slowly.
We will not cut it.
Well, we didn't talk about the Headcoats or Marine Girls or the Modettes, Raincoats, Runaways. We did not talk about the Slits enough. Spit
It's true.
Boy, The Cake, The Crystals, The Ronettes, Androids of Mew, super good anarcho band, Bangles, Coat Hangers, Dame, La Misma, X Kids, Rakta, Chroma, Truman Fallen, The Knicks, Neon. There's so many. Goes on and on and on.
Man, you have
Everybody
reading.
start
you
a
got 'em
band.
all. Yeah.
I think Nagwat also. But then it gets weird. Then I go into TLC, Salt and Pepper, Spice Girls, The Chicks.
Yeah.
You know,
It was incredibly
We don't
hard
wanna
for
go
me
there.
not to. I'm hoping
Sinead
someone.
O'Connor, like, let's fucking go.
Yeah.
Fucking Queen of Rock and Roll, Tina Turner. Come on. Patti Smith. She's got to be brought up tonight.
Woo!
Lucinda Williams. I love you.
We're just gonna rattle off artists now.
It's also Maddie Sue's birthday today while we're recording this. And she's off riding a jackalope in Texas into the sunset, chugging queso, chugging margaritas,
Chugging COVID.
chugging. No,
Hope
she's
not.
She's fully vaxxed.
Okay.
Bruh.
Okay, I'm just talking shit on Texas, not you, Maddie. Maddie, you're the shit.
Yeah. Happy birthday, Maddie.
Happy birthday, queso.
Queso?
Chugging queso.
If we had a bowl of queso here, I would chug it.
I mean, it sounds really good.
Chug, yeah.
Let's go get some Velveeta.
Well, shit. I guess
All
we
right, we
gotta
gotta
get out
go.
of here. We gotta get
We
some
gotta
queso.
go.
Thank you for listening. This has been a blast. Thank you, Alex, for
Thanks so
coming
much.
and doing this.
I can't wait to come back.
Yeah, maybe we'll have to do
Next time's
artists
going
next
to
time.
be even better.
Even better, we'll do singular artists or groups. I don't know.
I'm down.
We're going to change the rules.
Yeah, we'll
Fuck
make
the
them up where
rules.
as we go along. That's
This has
what we
definitely been the best time y'all have had. So I'll see you guys next week. Let's do it again.
do. All right.
See you on Patreon.
This town is This song, it's about Los Angeles, not about Portland, and that's obvious.
This has been a Top 5 production, produced by Kenton McDonald. Our theme song was by Ian Howe. Our logo artwork is from Andrew Colgan at Studio AYC. Edited by Kenton McDonald with editing assistance from Ian Howe. And a very big thank you to Andrew Bassett for today's outro music. And if you'd like to request a criteria, you can email us at podcast.topfive@gmail.com. Thanks for listening.